Thanks for pushing my buttons. You really know how to turn me on. We're out of chimichangas. Yep. Okay, I don't mean to psychoanalyze you, but what is your deepest, darkest fantasy?
It's time for me to...
And what do you think the root of that is?
It's time for me to review your sequel.
I think we're making great progress. Hang in there, kiddo. Don't worry, you can trust Dr. DP, PhD.
Well, yeah, but I need to review your sequel now.
Oh. My body is CGI. They're gonna fill it out in post.
Yeah, sure. Time for you to go off.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my... He told me enough.
No, I...
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's COrleone here, and you can obviously tell by the intro again, I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be definitely for the next standalone Deadpool movie. And yeah, I know technically Logan came out before this, but I decided I just want to do both the Deadpool films, and just save Logan for last, because since I consider Logan to be the true send-off to the Fox X-Men series, I decided that Logan could be the last review, and make it a little more closure-like. But yeah, this is going to be, this review is going to be for, down to the last, the two last reviews for the X-Men series. Man. But yeah, now that, so let's get on this way with what is going to be 2018's Deadpool 2. And no, this was not directed by Tim Miller. Instead, this was directed by stuntman David Leitch, who helped direct the first John Wick movie. So what's the plot of this? Well, this one, after Deadpool loses Vanessa, the love of his life, Wade Wilson now has to assemble a team and protect this young mutant named Russell Collins, aka Firefist, played by Julian Dennison, from another mutant named Cable, played by Josh Brolin, who's a no-nonsense, dangerous cyborg from the future, has to learn, and must also learn the most important lesson of all, to be part of a family again. So, how is this made? Well, we all know, when the first movie came out, it smashed records. Became, Valentine's Day records, box office records, highest-grossing R-rated film records. It smashed records from fucking everywhere. It got critical acclaim, so, even though plans for a sequel to Deadpool began before the original was even released, a sequel is now really, really inevitable at this rate. Because they confirmed it literally during February 2016, during the month when Deadpool was crazy fucking popular. Although, and technically, Reynolds, Reese, Renwick, and director Tim Miller were all going to combine and return for the second film. October 2016, Tim Miller ended up leaving the project because of creative differences. And Reynolds, because of creative differences with Reynolds. And so, Tim Miller was replaced by David Leitch to direct the movie instead. And casting search took place to fill the role of Cable for a while, and they finally got an actor named Josh Brolin to play the role. And around the time he was also playing Thanos in the MCU, around the same time. Filming then took place, with the first film, in British Columbia, Vancouver, from June to October 2017. So, After the movie was shot and marketed, Deadpool 2 would premiere at the Leicester Square in London on May 10th, 2018, and would be released in the United States around like 8 days later on May 18th, 2018. And the movie outgrossed its predecessor. Again, like by $3 million more. It earned $785 million worldwide and was the the ninth highest grossing film of 2018. And became the highest grossing film in the X-Men series, and for a while was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time for a year until it got surpassed by Joker, along with the first Deadpool movie. And the movie once again received positive reviews from critics. Like, there was people that thought it was superior to the first film. They loved the humor, story performances from the cast and action sequences. But a few rare criticized the tone, script, and recycled jokes. Then, like, a PG-13 version of the film was released on December 2018, and technically was just like a bit of a charity, but got mixed reviews. Like, even though technically the version was meant to be a charity film. And then, of course, we all know, like, Deadpool's rights went back to Marvel Studios because of the acquisition from 20th Fox to Disney, along with the X-Men Fantastic Four. And you know there's going to be a third one coming out in July. But now, as for my reaction to Deadpool 2, well, ever since I saw that first film in theaters twice, I immediately wanted a sequel as soon as I finished seeing it the first time. And I knew after all the reactions and the opening weekend, I knew there was already going to be a sequel, and the sequel was now inevitable from the start. So as the countdown progressed, I got more and more excited for this movie. And guess what, guys? You know something even cooler? Like, during my second and final semester at college, before I decided to just go into the work field, I met, like, there's, like, in my area we have the SkyTrain. And as I was on my way to the college campus, one time, like, I met one guy on the train, and around the time also I had a Deadpool toque. And he saw that, and he commented on my Deadpool hat that at the time, and even mentioned how he actually got to work on the set of the movie that summer while the movie was being filmed. Because like the first one, guys, this was also shot in my area. Like with the first film. Because I remember, like, when that bridge was closed, because they were obviously filming that scene on the bridge in the beginning of the first film. And this was one of my most hyped movies of summer 2018. Then around November 2017, when I went to go see the crappy Joss Whedon Justice League movie in the theaters, the Bob Ross teaser for this film actually played before the movie, and I was really more pumped. Like, I saw the Bob Ross video uploaded around November. I didn't watch it at the time because I thought it was just like a little joke video, but apparently it really was a teaser because when Deadpool drops pains, it says the please stand by screen, and then you see brief clips from the movie. So it really was a teaser, in a way. Then in February 2018, a more real trailer released, and that introduced us to the character of Cable. And then the movie came out, and like when this movie came out in theaters finally, I went to go see this opening weekend with a college buddy at a Saturday matinee opening weekend. And how was this movie? Well, guess what, guys? This movie was almost just as great as the first film. Some problems, but it was still a terrific sequel. It still lived up to the hype regardless. In a way, like, and once, like with the first film, I also saw this in theaters twice. Like, Deadpool 2 delivers, and it's comparable to quality to the first movie as well, and with some fantastic new additions, a returning cast, the cameos. Like, it's definitely the Deadpool sequel that I definitely was hoping would happen when I heard there was going to be a sequel to this. Like, and its brand of over-the-top violence, the quick-fire humor, the endless pop culture references. Reynolds in a role he was born to play in. Like, Deadpool 2's a War V sequel. In this one, like, Deadpool shakes things up and delivers off to be fun when dire fans are looking for new things from this kind of genre that it's satirizing. And it's a surprisingly well-rounded movie that encapsulates its hero, and it pokes fun at both itself and our genre tropes, especially sequel tropes. Like, sequel tropes at the sequel. Like, yeah, like, Deadpool literally ended up being my #1 favorite movie of 2016. Easily. And it was definitely one of the best theater experiences I've had. Like, Deadpool 2, on the other hand, it's just as funny as the original movie. There's more meta jokes. It's some dirty And the same gleefully dirty spirit carries in this movie, and some good payoffs here. They build like the previous memorable bits, like without going stale, and easily they did not ruin the movie by putting all the funny bits in the trailer. And there's plenty to enjoy here. Like they were definitely not afraid to push the envelope with the humor here. Yeah, you got all your favorite players back from Deadpool, most of them, and especially like the writers deserve the credits to let the characters grow here. Like, you got Wade Wilson, who's now that's still his typical wisecracking self. He's found happiness, and a change in relationship with Vanessa has really impacted his outlook. And Colossus, Negasonic, Teenage Warrior are back. They're still X-Men members. Like, their attitude does change toward Deadpool's antics. And then you get the cab driver, Dopeter, is back. Blind Al is back. The rest of Wade's crew, like, they all bring something new or hilarious to the film. And new members of the cast even also make the movie great. Like, got Cable played by Josh Brolin, Domino played by Zazie Beetz. They live up to the hype here. Cable definitely has more depth, and he's definitely one of the best highlights of Deadpool 2. Now they worked in Domino's ability into the action. Like, they're creative how her abilities change the way the action flowed. And, like, this is from a guy who is known for his work in stunts and coordinated memorable action set pieces. Like, it's carried on over into his other directional movies. Like, this is the same guy who directed films like John Wick, the first one. Then he went and directed Bullet Train with Brad Pitt 2 years ago. And you all know recently he directed The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. This guy's directed a lot of great films ever since he's done Deadpool 2 and John Wick. Like, it's definitely he definitely had a general knowledge that the sequel is going to be bigger when I went to go see this and when I was seeing the trailers for all this movie and when I knew who was going to direct it. Like, the film rises to the task, it equals the original, even surpasses the original in some bits, like, and Colossus even has a standout fight in the finale of the movie. The direction the movie goes in with the initial X-Force mission, like, it is a little surprising, but the X-Force, even if the X-Force members get a little wasted, and Cable Wade's first fight is very epic in prison, where you have Bannerang, Skrillex, and where they mention dubstep, and Skrillex always plays whenever a fight scene happens, when they mention dubstep. It's just very epically used. And now, it doesn't have a signature scene, like in the first Deadpool, like, you had the 12 bullets opening, like, but there's not much of that here, though, but it didn't make them. But that didn't mean the movie was boring at all, because I was just fine if there wasn't a signature scene. Like, Leitch and his team, they get the job done well. They balance the humor and the thrill superbly, like with the first film. Now, how does our movie start off? Well, ironically, we pretty much like the first film, we don't start off in the correct order. We kind of start off somewhat non-linear, but now not nearly as non-linear as last time, but this time, like, we start off with, we see Wade or Deadpool in his Deadpool costume, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he pulls out a music box that's shaped like when Logan dies in Logan. And then Deadpool literally is just he's just setting up all, like, the whole ovens and the whole toaster ovens, and then he rests on several barrels, then he chucks a cigarette into the air and lets it fall to one of the barrels, and a huge explosion blows him to pieces. And then, like, his first quote's like, "Fuck Wolverine." First he rides my rails with the R rating, and then he empties the ante by dying in his own movie. Well, guess what? I'm dying in this movie too. Yeah. And then later, he takes us back to a while earlier when he was being the mercenary Deadpool. He still had X-Skull Give It To You playing the first bit of the opening scene. And it's like, there's a whole montage of him fighting a bunch of mercenaries in Hong Kong. And a little, even in a sumo, area too. And he gets blood in his eye and wipes cloth. And then he wipes, his little, a sumo guy's cloth, and he recognizes the guy there. And then more action happens. And then, there's just more crazy action going on in the first bit. And then and then it leads him to a criminal named Sergei Valhishelenko here, and it's like every family movie starts off with a death scene. The Lion King, Bambi, Saw 3D, and which I guess is a little reference to when, kids were going to see Megamind, but then they accidentally played Saw 3D. I mean Saw 7, but it's still called Saw 3D, whatever. right there. And then he outruns Sergi's goons, gets a ride from Dominator. Then he goes home to Vanessa. They celebrate their anniversary. He gives her a skee ball token from their first date in the first movie from when they met in the bar. And Vanessa tells Wade that she's ready to have a child start a family with him. And Wade's very excited about that. But sadly, though, just as they're celebrating their happiness gets short-lived. Because a number of goons that are led by Sergi, they break in the apartment and attack them. Wade does kill the goons, but Sergi then shows up, shoots Vanessa, and kills her. This makes Wade furious, and he chases Sergi into the streets. Sergi then tries to get away in a car, and but he crashes, and so Wade slams Sergi out of the car, drags to the street, where he pretty much bear hugs him, and then they get plowed by a truck. But it only kills Sergi because, like, Deadpool is immune to everything, so he can't die. And then after that, like, you get another funny opening titles paired, like, with the first film. Then you see the dance on Ashes. Let beauty come out of ashes. And a montage of Deadpool doing such goofy shit, like letting bullets rain onto him, or still doing a fighting pose with some more crazy credits presented by You Killed Her, or produced by What the Fuck, and directed by one of the guys who killed the dog in John Wick, since this is directed by David Leitch. Right there. However, like, with this opening scene, though, there's a problem I had with it. Vanessa dying. Like, that had me a bit worried for the had me getting a little bit worried for the sequel, because, technically speaking, it did the Alien 3 thing with Vanessa briefly. But honestly, though, I guess I'm fine with it here, because I think it was supposed to be a parody of the Alien. I think this was meant to kind of insult Alien 3 cliche and show us exactly why that cliche sucks and why it's a stupid thing to do. Like, the movie even, I guess, like, yeah, like, I think, like, the movie even clearly knows it's, like, also somewhat of an unneeded sequel. It's meant to jab at sequels that ruin first movie's happy endings. And, like, that bit right there made me love it. But, like, yeah, because it kind of jabs at the fact that in this movie, Deadpool literally, like, at the end of the movie, he rescues her from Ajax, and he tried to hide his appearance from her for several times when he got out of that lab, because he thought she'd be disgusted by his appearance. And then when he finally rescues her and tells her everything, they reconsole, and they become a couple again. Right there. And then, like, the second one, she dies. Anyway. But I think that was the whole point. Besides, like, it gets retcon in the end anyway, so it doesn't make me that mad. Doesn't really, yeah, so yeah, I wasn't too infuriated by it. Like, I think it was supposed to make fun of it. Right there. But then, like, yeah, the pace of the movie, like, it's still, like, this is, like, 119 minutes long. It's a bit longer than the first one, but it's still but the pace still goes by pretty fast, and, like, there's a bit locational slower pace, some more dramatic scenes here and there, but it's not, like, overhawking the movie. There's some brief moment of touching scenes towards the end, and, like, and definitely, though, like, the movie definitely has some lot more fun and entertaining scenes, and the entire movie, even though the entire movie is, like, 2 hours, and, like, the main body of Deadpool 2, it blends together the action, plot, and soundtrack to a high degree, and it's, like, unparalleled compared to some other films sequels that try to do a plot like this. Like, yeah, like, the dialogue, like, because this is, like, supposed to be, like, jabbing at movies, like, the first film, it's packed with loads of movie references, lots of pulp culture, and, like, even, like, jokes at Reynolds' own expenses, and director David Leitch does a fine job of emulating the style and tone set by Tim Miller's original. And he delivers plenty of giggles to go with, like, the action. It's like, even though, like, it's not quite as creative as the first one, it's still very hilarious. And there's an excellent soundtrack, like, especially from AC/DC's Thunderstruck, or Skrillex's dubstep anthem, Bangarang, playing in some of the fights whenever they mention dubstep. But, yeah, so after our opening titles, Wade's, like, now at the bar there, and, like, he's mentioning, like, do you want to build a snowman? It kind of sounds like, Papa, can you hear me? Or right there, and And then, like, he's also sad that the lead singer Wham's also dead. So I like they reference that in the sequel. Right there. And, like, Way's now... He's still depressed over Vanessa's death. He's blaming himself for it. And you find out that Dopener's now working at the bar, at Weasel's bar. Now, and then, like, Weasel tells him to pretty much go home. And the point where he's, like, he's been there for, like, days to the point where he's even pissing his own pants. And he then goes back to see Blind Al. Blind Al tries to help him before he does something bad. Wade just does some coke and decides to blow himself up. Like, the super duper cut, apparently there's a montage where he's constantly trying to kill himself, like jumping into a lime pit. But that's in the super duper cut, though. Wade then sees himself in another realm where Vanessa's in their apartment, but he's unable to reach her because apparently his heart's not in the right place, so he's sent back. And so bits of his body then get recovered by Colossus. And he takes Wade back to the Mutant Academy, and he recovers in the mansion, but he's still screwing around. Like, he pretty much takes Professor X's chair to roll around in, and he's like literally still complaining about the X-Men still never being there. Like, he's like, where the fuck is everyone? Every time, like, I see you guys, it's always just you and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And then, like, you get a brief glimpse of, like, the prequel, brief glimpses of the prequel, the younger timeline X-Men, the 2010s X-Men there. And, like, Beast quickly closes the glass door. Right there, like, we're not being in this movie. Like, honestly, yeah, I could care less if it's you guys, but to be fair, that was funny, but even though, like, Stuart, and obviously Stuart was done with the Professor X role at the time, like, the original cast was mostly done with the roles. I kind of wish it was them. I kind of wish that bit was them, though, because if this is supposed to be set in, like, 2018, and those, like, other films are set all the way in the 80s, or the 70s, or the 60s, like, honestly, I kind of wish it was still them, though, to be fair. I kind of wish it was the original trilogy's counterparts. That would have probably been better. Like the ones from the Days of Future Past timeline right there. Would have liked that. I kind of would have preferred that because I'm not a big fan of the 2010s team. Then we meet, speaking of Negasonic Teenage Warhead, now we see Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Yukio from the Wolverine is back. And apparently, she's her Negasonic's girlfriend. That's a later topic, though, But yeah, like, Colossus, he wants, like, Wade to join the X-Men because, like, he tries to get him to move on for Vanessa, join the X-Men, and could heal emotionally, but Wade reluctantly agrees to join them, and they set off on a new mission. Like, and they make Deadpool follow the rules of no killing. So they're going to an orphanage, and that's meant to fix mutant children, and apparently there's a whole disaster going on there. And when we meet our 14-year-old boy character named Russell Collins, is played by Julia Dennison. He's raging. He said he fired the place. And then Deadpool meets him right there. And, like, and we also do get another RoboCop reference. And right there. And Deadpool even tried, the one point Deadpool tries to do superhero landing out of the building and almost ends up hurting his knee. He tries to talk to Russell, and we find out that he's being abused by her, I guess, villain, the headmaster. There's not much of a proper villain in this movie, just a little heads up. And then Master and the head orderly, after Russell says he'd rather go to the icebox and back to the orphanage. So Deadpool does not like this, and he shoots the orderly dead. And Colossus and Negasonic are horrified by this. And before they can detain Russell, he blasts him away. Colossus is extremely furious with Deadpool, decides to not even bother helping him out, and he pretty much lets him go to jail with Russell. And so Deadpool and Russell are strapped with collars, suppress their powers, and then after Deadpool and Russell are arrested, we meet our Cable character. Yeah, the mercenary mutant named Cable. He awakens in a destruction, like, of his home and the loss of his wife and child. And so he takes a taper that belongs to his daughter and goes back to the past to prevent all that from happening. And yeah, like, for those X-Men fans that are familiar with Cable, you guys all know he's the son of Cyclops and Alan Prior, who's the clone of Jean Grey, and given this techno-organic virus by Apocalypse erased in the future by a projection of his parents, and then he pretty much comes back to the present time as the much older mercenary, like gathers new mutants as X-Force and stop the end of the world. But yeah, but you don't need to know any of that just to enjoy this movie. Because, it's not really supposed to be accurate to the comic book version of him. This is kind of also supposed to be his own version of him while still having elements of his character. And also, Josh Brolin plays him very well. And keep in mind, guys, this came out, weeks after he had portrayed Thanos in Infinity War, and that got so much praise. And then he got praise again for playing another superhero character named Cable. And then again, also, when this released, Infinity War was #1 for a few weekends, and this one overtook Infinity War at the box office, and that film's third weekend, or fourth weekend. I remember, when I saw this in theaters, I once again sat in the front, because this theater was, almost, fully booked once again. Everyone, once again, was still screaming with laughter, even at the jokes, some were fresh, some were not fresh, or... Yeah, but they're not, even the not fresh ones are not horribly cringy or generally bad. The movie is action-packed with a lot of hilarious visual comedy, as well as plenty of gore limbs to satisfy the R-rated hungry Deadpool fans. Definitely much more action in this than the first one, and even though this is definitely just as funny as the first one, they have a bit more of a serious tone here. Not an overclouding all the comedy stuff. No, it's not Clerks 3, obviously. It's just not 100% wacky like the first one. The writers clearly wanted to inject some emotion and more family connection to the movie, and it works very well here. So after we met Cable and Wade and Russell were arrested, they get taken to the icebox, and there's other mutants with collars on them kept as prisoners. Russell wants to be Wade's friend, tries to stick with him, but Wade clearly wants nothing to do with him at all, and so Russell tries to pick a fight with the biggest guy to make him his bitch. Then they get antagonized by this group of mutants, but they're led by a guy named Black Tom Cassidy, played by Jack Kesey. And so Wade and Russell have the crap kicked out of them immediately. Then after that, Cable then shows up and infiltrates the prison to go hunting for Russell. And so he blasts his and Wade's cell to pieces, but they're not inside the cell. And then Cable fights off guards and then fights Wade and Russell. Wade fights Cable. And during the fight, Wade's so dark. You're sure you're not from the DC universe? And they fall feet where, Wade appears dead after his body bends, upon hitting ground. But the thing is, though, he may seem dead with the collar, but the thing is, the collar fell off of him before that could happen, so... And then Cable asks Wade why he's trying to protect him, and Wade said... And then, of course, Wade says, he's not trying to protect him, and he does not even care about Russell. And Russell overhears this, and he feels very betrayed. And then Wade takes Cable's gun, and he blasts him out of his prison. And then Cable takes the skee ball token Wade gave to Vanessa before, pounds him so hard in the back that he literally passes out. And then Wade goes into the realm to see Vanessa again, still cannot reach her. Because, once again, his heart's not in the right place. So, after, Wade has been escaped from the icebox, has got his collar off, he goes back to the bar where Doppler and Weasel are, and he decides that he has to now pretty much save Russell now, and so, Weasel helps Wade pretty much form a group of his own, because Wade knows he can't do this alone now. Colossus and Negasonic obviously want nothing to do with him. And so we meet a bunch of new mutants. We meet Bedlam, played by Terry Crews in a cameo, who can manipulate electric energy people's heads. You got Zeitgeist, played by Bill Skarsgård, just fresh after his role Pennywise, who can puke acid and bile. And then you meet Shatterstar, played by Louis Tam, who's the alien that just assumes he's better than everyone at what he does. And then you got Vanisher, who's literally invisible. And you meet our other lead character, Deadpool's other new companion named Domino, played by Zazie Beetz, who's a mutant with extreme good luck. And then some ordinary guy named Peter, who apparently only joined because he just saw the ad and thought it looked fun. So Deadpool hires them all, and Doppler's mad about this and throws the box down because apparently he wanted to be part of it, clearly. And so Russell's back at the icebox because he didn't escape. He's still there. He finds a new ally that's this mutant with brute strength that I'll mention in a bit. and wants him on his side. Now, when it comes to our new characters that we just met, our X-Force team members, since most of them get wasted, except for one, Domino. Of these new members, of Deadpool's new companions, I think Domino was easily the best one. Domino was a well-developed character that brings so much to the weird table the film sets. And as he beats, really shines in the movie as this character, portrayal of the character. And the female partner trying to counter the crazy of Deadpool. Just a great character as his quirky power. The power is luck, and this lucky girl brings Bite to fight Deadpool's humor, decent skills with a weapon, and some enlightening looks of life, and brings some zing to the movie. This character was a fantastic addition to the movie. Yeah, more about this movie, it's also, you all know this movie's obviously self-aware, not just of itself, but its context in the genre of pop culture in general, the first one was. There's ways, Deadpool 2 feels almost at times it's Ready Player One, because Ready Player One, y'all know, is another film from 2018 that was full of references, Easter eggs, and inside jokes. The movie opened with the music box of Wolverine impaled on a branch, or it's in the end of Logan. The end credits play out like a James Bond movie, with a Celine Dion song called Ashes, and Deadpool reveals to Josh Brolin's character Thanos because he played Thanos the same year, and even asks how many Sharknado movies are in the future, and a prisoner number is the same as Hugh Jackman's Les Miserables, and there's a running joke about Kirsten Dunst's interview with the vampire, and more. There's many more references. And there's some cameos from Brad Pitt even. The Brad Pitt cameo is easily the funniest. Majority of the First Class cast, I've already mentioned. Although I wish it was the original trilogy cast instead. And the gore's in the first one, the gore is just very epic in this film. It may not be as obvious as the first one, but it's still epic. There's even a bit more gore this time. Deadpool's ability to resist fatal injury is played up as far as it could go here, blowing up into pieces, being torn in half, breaking his back, falling from great heights, and plenty of graphic stabbing, shooting, squashing, beheadings that don't hide in details. Deadpool 2 at times is better action than the first film. Better action here. The action sequences are stylish. They're entertaining to watch. You can tell there's more money put in the budget because this was $110 million while the first one was $58 million. And it's the benefit of having David Leitch behind the camera for this one. And the choreography is on point, gory, realistic, with most of the superhero benefits. Cable's a complete utter badass. The punches his weight about with such strength. For all seeing Shark to trust, Deadpool being more reckless. On the other hand, the action scene. The best part of the action scenes, though, easily Domino's just vaults her way through as everything collapses around her. The superpower of luck is portrayed very well. It puts her in the middle of chaos. It also can't touch her, but falls out of everyone around her. And then of course you have the team, which Deadpool calls X-Force. Now once the team has been recruited, they're called the X-Force by Deadpool. And Domino's isn't that a little derivative and stuff? And so they ride a jet. They're going to intercept a truck that's contained mutant prisoners, especially one of them being Russell. Deadpool warns them to look out for Cable, and so they jump out, and Peter's a little terrified, and Deadpool has to basically force them out once he pretty much now realizes what they're doing. And because of the strong winds that apparently all the team refused to pay attention to, this part also does kind of suck, but it's also kind of funny though. Nobody paid attention to strong winds. They flew way too damn high. Beldam gets head struck into a truck. Star gets shredded by helicopter blades. Vanisher's electrocuted on wires. Zeitgeist lands in a wood chipper. Peter does manage to make it, and then tries to get him out of the wood chipper. But Zeitgeist sprays him with acid. And Peter's right side burns off painfully, and Zeitgeist pretty much becomes salsa. Then Deadpool and Domino, though, they manage to survive, and oh, and the invisible one I forgot to mention. Oh, he flies into wires, and his form is revealed by a cameo of Brad Pitt, which just gets electrocuted on telephone wires. And Deadpool and Domino, they survive though. Domino survives because of her luck power, and she's clearly clearly trying to tell him that the winds were strong. Clearly, the only one that really paid any attention to that. And they catch up to the truck. The Domino hijacks the truck, and Deadpool's fighting Cable. You get a One-Eyed Willy reference, and during this fight, Cable kills off some of the other mutants like Black Tom. there, and then of course, like, once the truck smashes off, like, the bridge, and Russell's now free, and he unleashes his mutant buddy that we find out. Guess what, guys? His mutant buddy, it's Mr. Giant himself, Juggernaut. And, like, he slams his entrance is hilariously epic. He slams his fist through the truck and tears through a bridge and sends it crashing down. And when Deadpool sees him, he's like geeking out, Juggernaut! Oh, I'm such a big fan. And literally, as soon as like Domino tries to fight Deadpool, then she's Juggernaut's like, and then just like, it just walks away. It's not like, I'm not getting involved in that. Like, she's so not getting involved in this. Because sees how big Juggernaut is. And the Juggernaut's just storming up. And, like, Deadpool's, like, geeking out. And he's like, I'm gonna rip you in half. With his voice. And then he, like, rips Deadpool in half. And Deadpool's, like, before, like, Russell leaves, like, what has Juggernaut got that I don't? And, like, Russell, like, says legs, and then does a fake rope to walk away. Like, that scene right there just puts a huge smile, laugh on my face. Like, it put, like, everyone in the theater laughing so loud opening week when I went and saw this. Like, the fact that a comedy movie in the X-Men series gets Juggernaut's appearance and voice right better than a serious movie from 2006 is ironic. Like, Juggernaut's voice is terrific, and we know what's better, like, apparently, like, Ryan Reynolds not only played Deadpool, he also did Juggernaut's voice. And it just makes the character even more hilarious and more epically well done. Right there. Like, this movie got Juggernaut right where Last Stand didn't. Right there. It's supposed to be a parody Juggernaut, and even they got him better. Then Wade goes back to Blind Al's place where he now has baby legs, and he pretty much has Domino carrying back, like, I can see why you're now on the team. And Dom's like, pretty sure this isn't it. And then they get back, and now his baby legs, and like Weasel, Dumpeter, Domino go to him, and like Domino pretty much gives him baby pants, and he's doing like the leg cross for Basic Instinct, and then Cable shows up. He explains to them why he's there, like, because in the future Russell becomes a killing machine after he commits the first murder with Juggernaut, and Russell's going to become the one who murders his family, so that's why he was back in time to kill Russell before his reign of terror could happen. So Cable, like, at first, like, Cable and Wade were enemies, but now Wade now convinces Cable to allow him to talk to Russell, and, like, Cable wants Deadpool to help him kill Russell, but Wade convinces Deadpool to allow him to talk to Russell before he has to kill him, and so, like, once, like, it takes some time, Deadpool obviously regains his legs off screen, like, he finally is able to stand on his baby legs, and so they go to find Russell, and Deadpool wants Dumpeter to drive him back to the X-Mansion to talk to Colossus. But Colossus doesn't want to talk to him. He's still upset with Deadpool because of what happened earlier. He tries to appeal to Colossus' good nature, to say how he needs to help Russell, and the thing is, like, it still does some of the stuff that makes the first Deadpool so charming. Like, what makes the first Deadpool strong, it wasn't the humor, the action, or its self-awareness. Like, it's surprised, like, how truly charming and emotional it was with the romance scenes. Like, the relationship built up with Wade and Nelson, the first one, is endearing, and the terminal diagnosis really stings the tear ducts hard. Like, Deadpool 2, like, it doesn't quite reach nearly as much. Deadpool 2, like, also does reach well with the emotional depth, like, when he realizes he has to pretty much now protect Russell. Russell has to learn the meaning of family. Whenever he does try to die, join Vanessa, his heart's not in the right place, so he can't join her. Like, here, like, they still do pretty good here. Like Wade's depiction of grief is definitely top-notch here. Like, everything that was great about Deadpool 1 is still here, but it's, like, bigger. Like, the fourth wall breaking humor, it's in your face and hysterical. It pokes fun at other Marvel movies, DC movies, about everything that's superhero-related here. Even though, like, technically speaking, while the first Deadpool was kind of its own thing with the comedy genre, this one here is also, like, kind of more of a superhero film with some of the more comedy elements in it, in a way. Like, but nothing's still off limits here with Deadpool's savage humor. Like, Ryan Reynolds, once again, is perfect as the role of Deadpool. The other casts are great, are also all around great as well. The sheer number of characters also increases. Some are left with little screen time, like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but honestly, with how Negasonic TH Warhead was portrayed in this movie, I was kind of glad about that, and that's going to be in the bad quality section. Like, and yeah, like, the cameos of the X-Force team, they do great, but even if they sadly get wasted roles, but yeah, also Colossus does get a bit of a bigger role this time around. And Tyler Bates nails the score for this movie. Like, you have, like, opera-like instrumentals that are definitely more prominent at the end of the film. Like, you have songs like Ah's Take On Me, Skrillex' Bane of Rain, new Celine Dion song, like, Deadpool rapper Team Kick is even back in this. That's icing on the cake here. Like, now the storyline may seem like it's a bit more complicated, but it doesn't get overly complicated here. Like, the plotline is like, the plotline's still pretty simple, even with a few complicated stuff. Like, Deadpool tries to protect a mutant kid from being assassinated, and they still do a good job balancing the comedy and the action here. Like, and even still have a bit of emotional moments here, like, but they don't. But the emotional tone does not overhog all the comedy. Like, it's only there when it needs to be. Yeah, like. But anyway, guys, so here's the finale. So after they fail to persuade Colossus to join them, Deadpool, Cable, Domino, and Doppler, like, they arrive at the orphanage all on their way there. Like, since, like, Ryan Reynolds is married to Blake Lively, and Blake Lively stars in the Sister of the Traveling Pants movies, he references, like, and that's why they're Sister of the Traveling Pants, pure pornography. And, like, in the back, like, Cable's like, ugh, like, and like Donald's like, I wish I finished college. And it's like, and then they get to the orphanage, and Russell Juggernaut about to go in and kill the headmaster. Then Dumbledore takes a look at Juggernaut, and he's like, really wants to join, but he's like, I'm going back to the cab. He goes back to the cab. Deadpool once again tries to talk to Russell. He still ignores him. And he goes after the headmaster, and then the orderlies arrive to attack, and the three mutants wipe the floor with them. And then a jet arrives, wherein Colossus, Negasonic, and Yukio arrive to help. And so, Colossus and Negasonic and Yukio fight Juggernaut, and Colossus finally agrees, decides that it's time to fight dirty. So, Colossus and Juggernaut, they get in a fight, but Juggernaut is obviously stronger than Colossus, so Yukio uses her own rope to bind Juggernaut's legs together, and then Colossus literally sticks an electrical loose wire up his own ass, and then Negasonic uses her power to push Juggernaut to the pool with the cord still in his ass. It's like, he falls into the pool, electrocutes to the water, and so he's out of the fight now. And then Russell goes to the headmaster and tries to burn the orphanage up. Deadpool then catches up to him and tries to tuck Russell down again. He convinces him Killian's not gonna feel better, but he's still not listening, and he blasts Deadpool away. Then gets ready to kill the headmaster. Deadpool attaches one of the collars on, like, and then, like, during the whole orphanage fight, like, Domino goes to the orphanage, battles some of the more of the staff, and even the children are cheering this on, and, like, Domino's like, I'm gonna need a bus to get you out of here, and then a bus just magically hits the orphanage, and then, like, the orphans go through, like, climb through the bus to get out, and they're like, and then of course you get the scene where he once again tries to talk him out of, where Deadpool tries to talk Russell out of becoming a killer, and so since that doesn't work, he puts on one of the collars, and so Cable goes for his gun, and Cable tries to fire Russell, Deadpool leaps in the way to take the bullets, and because he has, like, the collar on, it hits him in the heart fatally. Then, of course, he gets up to, like, tell me they got that in slow motion. And it sees he's been shot in the heart. And then Russell has a change of heart to see his sacrifice. And then he's weeping over Deadpool's body. And Cable sees the blood on his daughter's taper vanish and the future saved. Deadpool finally accepts his death. And he's saying goodbye to everyone. Like, there. And, like, you do get some minor comedy references. But it's also still somewhat of an emotional scene there. And, like, Colossus is trying to remove his collar, and Deadpool tells him to just let it happen, and you do get some, like, you still get a few more minor references, like, he keeps, like, coming back, and stuff, and, like, surprisingly, this bit was actually surprisingly pretty emotional, even if there were still a few funny moments in here, and so, then after he passes on, he then goes to the realm, he's finally able to enter and meet Vanessa. Now that heart's finally in the right place. And when he goes in there, he appears like he did before his whole mutation happened. And then they talk about that ways come far, and then Vanessa says the line, "Kiss me like you miss me, Red," and you have like this more softer cover of Aha's Take on Me playing in the background, and like, yeah, so they kiss passionately, but of course, like, Cable has a change of heart and decides to actually go back in time and prevent Deadpool's death. And Vanessa's like, says it's not waste time here. Like, right here, like, when I saw this in theaters, I did kind of surprisingly tear up a little bit. Like, yeah, once again, there's a bit of comedy during the sequence. It keeps coming back, but it's not to the point where it ruins the whole emotional sequences. And honestly, like, you know how Shrek the Turd did this with Harold's death and it was fucking stupid? That's not the case here. Like, this honestly was a better done fake-out death montage than what happened with Harold's death and Shrek the Turd. Because, like, for one, this is not supposed to be a serious movie, and he's gonna obviously come back some way. He's the main character. And it's only his second movie. Right here. Not like how Harold does it, where, and like before, like, just say who the new king is. Like here, no, like, it's not like that. It's like, this is how you do fake out death. Shrek the Turd is the bad kind of fake out death. Deadpool 2 is the right way to do it. The only nitpick I have with the scene is, like, did you really have to use the theme from Logan in this scene? Like, you could have just made your own score. And, like, there's two versions, one that has Take On Me and one that has a more different cover of Ashes. I like the Take On Me version better than the unrated version did. Like, the Ashes cover they use in the unrated version is just not that great. But yeah, Cable goes back in time, prevents Deadpool's death. He taps Deadpool's chest with the ski ball coin, and then we go to the end because we already saw the whole sequence. Deadpool takes a shot for Russell. Then, of course, because, like, now that he has the token there, he sees the bullet hit the token this time. And so, like, but Russell still has his change of heart. And Deadpool teases Cable because he gave up the charge to save him. It gives him a hug, and then Cable puts a knife near Deadpool's dick, but Cable decides that he'll stick around the time period for a bit. And so the whole team then leaves the orphanage. The headmaster is mad and furious he got spared, and mutants deserve to die. But then, of course, like, Deadpool's like, no more killing. But then Doppler rides in, and he plows the guy to mush with the cab, and he's happy that he now contributes to the team. And so they all walk away, and the Deadpool says that they're all his family, but it's not over yet because there's a montage during the credits where Negasonic and Yukio, they're fixing the Cable's device, they give it to Deadpool, and they're regretting it. And so Deadpool goes back in time to save Vanessa from getting shot, and then he's like, we're definitely naming our kid Cher, after he successfully kills Sergei this time. And then he jumps back to save Peter from dying horribly. He says, like, no, there's no X-Force, go home. He goes to X-Men Origins Wolverine. It kills the shitty version of Deadpool, thank fucking God. And, like, there's an unrated version scene where he tells them that they're going to hang the claws up, and then Wade's going to tell him to come back, and he's talking to Wolverine. And then Deadpool goes back in time where Ryan Reynolds is about to play Green Lantern, but Deadpool shoots him in the head, and it's like, you're welcome, Canada. And the super duper cut, there's a bonus scene where he kills baby Hitler, and I'm glad that was not in the theatrical cut, because that would not work for me. Honestly, that's just really not that funny. And honestly, the unrated version, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest. Like, if the unrated version was the one they released, it probably wouldn't be as well received, to be fair. Yeah, I'm glad we got this cut instead. And as for the PG-13 cut, well, technically speaking, the PG-13 version happened because Reynolds made it for, like, a children's charity thing, so... And plus, I never saw it, so I can't really say anything about it or criticize it for those reasons. But yeah, like, that's Deadpool 2. It's slightly not as good, but it's still a good sequel. And honestly, like, to me, it kind of would have been a great end to the Deadpool series. Like, he now knows the meaning of family. He can now start a family with Vanessa, and even live on forever with because of his appearance and his powers. And, like, Peter's death even gets retconned. But I would still have some bad qualities with the film. Like, for one, I feel like the X-Force do get wasted a lot. The trailers make it look like it's going to be about them teaming up, but they all just get killed off as soon as they land. It is kind of funny, though, but still. And there's times when Colossus and Negasonic really just feel like nuisances in many bits. Oh, I also hated how Negasonic and Yukio get portrayed in this movie. No, I don't hate gay couples. I'm not homophobic, like some would probably think. I hate that they're girlfriends here because that just feels way too corny for them. And it feels like that idea was written by a fanfic member. and they picked the wrong characters for that idea. So, and once again, I'm not a fan of the character Weasel. He plays someone, and sadly, he plays a bit more of a role here, but at least not in the final battle. But other than those, I still enjoy Deadpool 2, and I definitely think it's a worthy sequel. So in the end, guys, Deadpool 2 is totally worth a watch and buy for any Deadpool fan that loves the character and loves that first one and wants to see more of the character's adventures and see him team up with some newbies here. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Deadpool 2. And we're going to rank Deadpool 2. Here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you are a Deadpool fan, a fan of the first movie, and are eager to see Deadpool back with some new teammates and allies for his next movie, then totally watch it by Deadpool 2 for your collection, no doubt. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Deadpool 2, I'm going to give Deadpool 2 a 9 out of 10.
I've been off for a long time. Is X-Men, the animated series, still on?
No, it's actually now a series called X-Men 97.
I cost how much? I know a guy who can get you 3 heads for that much.
You said that already, but that was me reviewing your sequel.
Yep. Okay, I don't mean to psychoanalyze you, but what is your deepest, darkest fantasy?
Well, it's time for you to go back on the shelf.
And what do you think the root of that is?
Alright, time for you to go back on the shelf now. I reviewed both your movies. There we go, guys. Yeah, that wraps up the reviews for all the Deadpool movies, so I can put these movies back. Alright, you go with the X-Men films, Mr. Deadpool 1. And you, obviously, go right next to Logan. And, speaking of Logan is going to be the next and last review of the series to do. So yeah, now we're moving on to the depressing stuff. But the best one of the series. Until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this one to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. COrleone.